the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic trick. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Dally M medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. We're here on a Wednesday morning now. We've had a few technical errors and a few just sort of things in life that got in the way of stopping us from doing this on the Monday and then Tuesday morning, which was the ideal time to do it as well. A lot of things just sort of popped up that just really prohibited us from doing it. So all these delays, it would have been easier to just skip the podcast altogether. But I took all these notes. I loved this week of footy, and I didn't want to, let you guys down who do listen to these and not put one out. So it might be a bit outdated by the time you listen to it. I'm sure a lot of you have already had your fill of last week and you're looking forward ahead to the next week. So maybe there's not too many listeners. So we're going to try and keep it to a low time, but we say that every week and it never actually ends up that way. But we'll kick things right off with the first game of round 13, which of course was the St. George Illawarra Dragons defeating the Newcastle Knights 20-6. We'll start on the Dragons before we get to the Knights. It's a really good win for the Dragons. This sort of solidifies them. Actually, I don't know where they are on the ladder. I'll pull it up right now. This brings them right into the top 8, at the bottom of the top 8 in 8th place. But it's a very, very close competition. But the Dragons, I've said from the beginning that they've always been sort of, them along with the Dolphins are my teams that have just been like one or two things off of getting a few really, really good wins. And I think that they have the team and they play a style of footy that can definitely see them solidify themselves in the top 8. And it's games like this that they just needed to be winning. 20-6, it's not a huge scoreline, but it's a solid enough victory. They didn't score any points in the second half. But again, Knights have been really good defensively, and that shows again in this one. And, the Dragons still had a few players backing up from Origin and whatnot. So I'm just taking it as a really good win, especially their first half where they looked really good. They had a few different, things go against them injury-wise. Jaden Sewer, he scored their first try in this one and then was quickly taken off the field with a low-grade syndesmosis injury, I believe is the diagnosis for that one. So a few things that are just a bit hard to cover, especially when they're already down Dylan Egan, another second rower. So they ended up with Toby Couchman and Luciano Leilua in the second rows, which is handy replacements. But, regardless, it's just a really good win for the club. As I said, these are the wins that they really need to be taking. They move ahead into next week against the who have they got? The Dolphins. So those two teams I just mentioned, they have to head over to Brisbane and take the Dolphins on at home. I think that'll be a fantastic game. Actually, one of the games I'm looking forward to most next week, or this week, I should say. But, it was just a really comprehensive win from the Dragons. They never once looked like losing. And I think, we'll get to the Knights in a second as to why they never really look like losing. But these are the ones that are just going to continue their confidence and keep building into their season. I'm liking how their halves combination is sort of growing. I love that Kyle Flanagan really took the halfback jersey on this week, and he went out to his father and coach, Shane Flanagan, and said, I think I should wear it to ease the pressure of our young fella like in King Tongia. And that just shows a really good leadership and a really good vibe around the club. And, he's dealt with a lot of adversity, a lot of pressure, Kyle Flanagan. So for him to still step up and know that it's going to be more eyes on him if he's in that 7 jersey, but it's the right thing to do for the club and it's the right thing to do for our young fella and like in King Tongia. It's a really, really good sign from Kyle Flanagan and overall from the Dragons. In terms of their standout players, I'm going to start with David Klemmer. Now, if you guys follow along the Instagram page, you would have seen David Klemmer's name get a little bit of a mention on our Team of the Week on the bench. Unfortunately, it's really hard to crack the Team of the Week starting front rowers this year when normally it's Payne Haas and Terrell May that are standouts, but when it's not one of them, you still got Tarpany, you've got Adam Fanua-Blakes. There's a lot of great names. So we didn't quite make our Team of the Week starting, but I thought he was excellent in this one, David Klemmer. He still has really, really good hands, and he got through a lot of work in big minutes. I'm pretty sure he played the entire first half, David Klemmer. So to be able to pull that sort of stuff up off at his age and with people saying he's past it, I thought he was excellent. Ended up with 57 minutes in the game, 15 runs, 175 metres, which is absolutely outstanding. and made 33 tackles with 0 missed and 0 ineffective tackles. And as I said, still has some really good hands that can get their plays going on at the back. So I thought he was absolutely excellent. David Clemmer, his sort of front row partner, he ended up coming off the bench in this one, but Jack de Belin, I thought he was great as well. I've been quite vocal in my admiration for him for a number of years in the way that he plays his footy. He's 33, I think maybe even closing in on 34 this year or something like that. And he still looks as good as ever, to be honest. He's just sort of recently come out and said that he's keen to play again. And if it's not the Dragons, I'd be every other club. I'd 100% snap him up. For instance, the Knights on the other side of the field, if you could get Jack de Belin for 1 year to bring that experience and shore them up in the middle, I think that'd be a fantastic coup. He's got so much to offer still, Jack de Belin. I just love his role in the side. He had the line break and offload into Clint Gutherson, who ended up running away to score one of the tries for the Dragons as well. And just echoes everything I've been saying about him, honestly. So he ended up only playing 34 minutes off the bench, but in that time, 13 runs, 131 metres, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist. It actually doesn't credit him with a line break, so I assume they're going to count Gutherson with the line break. Yeah, so they're giving that to that line break to Gutherson. Most certainly wasn't. That was Jack de Belin made the line break and then offloaded to Gutherson in the last line, and Gutherson ran away to score. But just fantastic stuff from Jack de Belin. He ended up with 26 tackles and 1 missed as well. As I said, in limited time on the field. Love the way he goes about his footy. And you know what? We've just mentioned Kyle Flanagan and the way that he sort of approached the game in the pre-game and, you know, asking for that halfback role and that responsibility. I thought he was excellent in that as well. It's one thing to just go say, I should do it. Let's ease the pressure off the young fella. But if he doesn't go out there and perform, then it's a really tough gig. And there have been multiple times that Kyle Flanagan has gone out in that jersey and hasn't performed. I still think he's a really good footballer, Kyle Flanagan. I think he's been very up and down this year, but when he's good, he's bloody good. I thought he was really, really good in this one as well. He's just showed really good patience and vision and just ball playing to put Jaden Sewer over for that first try. Played deep, played late into the line, and just the ball he threw, the pill he threw to Jaden Sewer was as silky as it gets. So I thought he was excellent as well, Kyle Flanagan, in that halfback role. 415 kick meters from 15 kicks, 1 forced dropout as well from that. So just good to see him really settle into this. Any other standouts for the Dragons? Clint Gutherson I thought was excellent. You know, of course, inspiring and standing up as he always does. 19 runs, 166 metres, and that try as well. He's one of the best support players in the game, despite not being the quickest fullback out there. He's always there. He's an effort-on-effort player, and he's exactly what this Dragons team needs. I liked Valentine Holmes. I thought he had a really good running battle with Dan Gagai. Dan Gagai got the better of him on a few occasions. You know, Holmes' defence isn't fantastic, but there are multiple occasions that Holmes also had some fantastic defensive plays. There was one in particular where he shot out off his line when they're defending the try line. I think he jammed one of the halves, might have been Gable. I actually can't remember who it was, but he jammed up, sprinted up and jammed and stopped the play there. And there were another couple times that he had good work on Dan Gagai. But yeah, as I said, still needs to be better in defence. I think if he is to be named in the Origin side with Murray Taulagi back, he probably gets in at centre, but is he going to take over from the young Rob Toya, who had a pretty darn good Origin performance on debut for the Queensland? Who really knows? I'm sort of hoping he doesn't as a selfish super coach player, so I can keep him in my side. But as I said, really liked his running battle. Moses Sully, probably the better of the centres on the field, probably the best centre on the field across both sides, to be honest. 21 runs he had for 205 metres. There's only 2 tackle breaks in that, no line breaks. It was just hard yakka from Moses Sully. 15 tackles for 0 missed as well. He's been so consistent. I do wish the Dragons would actually put more of their plays to that right-hand side and give him some more space, because he is a bloody good player and he can make stuff happen. Like in the early parts of his career, that's what he was known for, the flamboyant stuff. Now he's just settled into his role. He works hard and he's so consistent, and it's crazy that he can do that. So yeah, as I said, I'd love to see the Dragons involve him a little bit more. Beyond that, Damien Cook also made our team of the week. 76 minutes, of course, started at hooker, and then once Jacob Little came onto the field. He moved out into that sort of running 13 role. And in that role, Damien Cook had 6 runs, 49 metres. He had 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, and 53 tackles for 2 missed. I thought he was excellent. Might be his best game for the Dragons. It's been weird. I don't think he's been poor for the Dragons this year. But it's just he hasn't been as good as what Jacob Little was last year, so you can argue that he has been a bit of a dud signing. But I think as the year grows into it, we'll see more of these performances from him, and I thought he was excellent in this one as well. Lots of other names I can do. Toby Couchman, 15 runs, 164 metres, and 44 tackles in it. Played the full 80. I thought he was excellent. But we can say that all along. I thought Blake Laurie was really, really good. Ended up starting this game. 14 runs, 142 metres from Blake Laurie, and 35 tackles with only 1 missed. Loco Pacifici Tonga. I've rambled on about him every week, even before the preseason, even dating back to last season when we covered him. But I thought he was excellent as well. Just as soon as he got on the field, you could just tell that he was due a try. He was running with an intensity that was higher than anyone else on the field. And of course, he ended up getting a try, only 22 minutes on the field, but 8 runs, 77 metres, and the line break and try. He was absolutely phenomenal. As I said, we've said so much about him, but he will grow into being one of the best front rowers in the game, and I really hope that the Dragons lock him down. At the moment, they're playing with some, not plotters. Plotters is a bit disrespectful to, DeBellin and Clemmer and Laurie, these players that we've just given a massive rap to. So obviously they can still have their place in today's game, but they don't have that explosive dynamic forward, I don't want to say. And Loco can definitely end up being that for the club. So really excited to see him grow into the season. And lastly, a big congratulations to Nathan Lawson, the ex-rugby winger who made his debut in this one and made a very, very good debut, to be honest. 17 runs, 180 metres, 1 line break, 7 tackle breaks, and was solid defensively as well. So he's been named again this week, heading into round 14 over Tyrell Sloan and with Christian Tuipulotu coming back into the side. So hopefully they, sort of keep him there and let him grow, because he looked really, really good on debut. As for the Knights, we're going to be quick here because I say it every week. They're really, really bad, and it's disappointing. Like, people probably listen to these podcasts and think that I hate the Knights. I absolutely do not hate the Knights. I currently reside in/around Newcastle. I'm out near Cessnock at the moment, and I love being around Newcastle. I love Newcastle. I love the town, and the town genuinely glows. Like, it's like the sun's always out when the Newcastle Knights are winning. I wrote essays and stories about the Knights during my time at university, and just how good the town is when Newcastle Knights are going well. I love going to their games, and I love just watching them win. But I have to tell it how it is. They are really bad. Like, I've been watching footy for a long time, and I've been watching footy intently for a very long time. So I was around and watching every game when the Knights were, picked up 3 wooden spoons in a year. I think there was a year that they might have got either 1 win, or they might not have even got a win. They might have got just a draw, or maybe it was 1 win and a draw that year. Like, they were terrible that year. The way that they're playing their footy now, though, I genuinely think it's worse. Like, it's so boring. Their attack has nothing. No runners are giving them anything when they're close to the line. There's no lines being run. There's no direction. There's no intensity. The halves crab across field. The fullbacks not really doing much. Even, you guys know I love Fletcher Sharp. Even in this one, he just couldn't inspire the team. He found himself in the wrong positions, but he also found himself doing everything, and nothing could come up because no one was giving the Knights any options. They never looked like scoring. I wholeheartedly believe that teams that I've played for, like the Werris Creek Magpies, my childhood club, they're undefeated in the Group 4 Rugby League. I reckon if we threw them up against this current Knights team, they probably beat them. It's just, the Knights are playing terrible. I hate watching their games. I really do. It's just disgusting how bad it is. It's so boring. There's nothing going on. And then there's just nothing. I hate being negative every week, but I sort of have to tell it how it is. And when I sit here and go, okay, well, what positives are there? There's not much to say. Dane Gagai, we've already sort of mentioned, he was really good. I loved the battle he had with Holmes. 18 runs, 202 metres, 8 tackle breaks from him, 21 tackles made, 6 missed. He's just sort of taken that Origin sort of snubbing to heart, and I like the way he was going. Fletcher Sharp, I don't think he was amazing, but the stats still say that he tried everything with 17 runs and 192 metres. Besides that, I don't have anything to say. Like, Dylan Lucas was really quiet. Kai Pearce-Paul scored their only try, and he was solid, but like without being outstanding. Phoenix Crossland, I thought, was very, very average. Tyson Frizzell couldn't get anything going. There's nothing to really talk about with this side, and I don't want to be negative. As I said, I want the Knights to be doing good, but I can't sit here and sort of lie to everybody each week. It's a tough time at the club. The positive for the side is I don't think that they're far off. Like, they have a team that can compete. Of course, they've got injuries at the moment. Young Kyle McCarthy, Fletcher Hunt, these sort of players are in there that probably won't be there every week. They're missing Bradman Best. They were missing Kalen Ponga in this one. Jacob Saifidi still to come back. And next year, they get in a Dylan Brown. And while we don't, think that's the answer for this club, it can't be worse than their current halves, respectfully, at the moment. Like, they've gone through that many halves and they've all been really, really poor. They've both, like, every player has had an individually good game, but as a collective, their halves combinations have been pretty darn poor this season. So it can't get any worse with Dylan Brown coming in. They're going to free up a lot of cash with Jack Hetherington expected to depart, Adam Elliott expected to depart, Leo Thompson's departing. I think there's another big name forward or someone that is... well, not big name, but big money forward, I think, expected to depart. So they're going to free up cash. They can splurge a little bit. It can't get much worse. So those are the positives. And as we know, when they do turn it on, they're still a good side. It was just last week where they smashed the Panthers and they looked really, really good in that. It's just really interesting to see where they are and why they're playing so bad, because on paper and even in the games that they play well, they shouldn't be playing this bad. Adam O'Brien in the press conference came out and complained about the NRL scheduling and how they had to rest Ponga. It's just, I don't know, it's bullshit to me. Like, you can't be blaming, let's go blame the scheduling. The Dragons had the same scheduling, guys. The Dragons they backed up their Origin player, I think. Was it just Valentine Holmes? Might have just been Valentine Holmes. But regardless, if some team has to cop it, you've got one Origin player and you're complaining about, we couldn't back up Ponga, we lost to the scheduling. No, you lost because you're terrible. And if any other club was playing on this day, they're losing half their team to Origin. Like, it's no excuse. I hate that he's searching for excuses anywhere else. And I respectfully, I don't want anybody to lose their job, but he's shown time and time again, in my opinion, Adam O'Brien, that he can't turn this around and they can't really sack him and move on to a new sort of way of playing because of his contract. So they've got themselves into this mess, the Knights, and I really do hope they turn it around. Let's move on to the next game. The Titans and the Storm was the next game. The Titans going down 16-28. Most people expected a Storm win. I expected it to be a bit more expansive from the Storm. I expected 13 plus. I expected maybe 30, 40 points put on them. Wasn't to be the case. And to be honest, we're going to start with the Titans in this one. I didn't think they were terrible. I thought their defense was actually pretty darn good. It was just sort of discipline that really let them down. 3 of their tries, or 3 of the Storm's tries, I should say, came directly from Titans' errors. And as we've always said, the good teams make you pay for errors, and the Storm are a damn good side. So there was the Farlongo try, which I can't even remember. There was 3 tries that came off errors, whether it was directly like a drop ball or intercept that was scored off then and there. Like Grant Anderson took one and ran the length of the field. Farlongo scored off a drop ball where, the pass went to ground and Farlongo dived onto it and just scooted away. Like 3 of the Storm's 5 tries came directly from errors. So if the Titans rein that in, it's a 3-2 game. They can win. And sure, the Storm probably find a way to win beyond that. But if you make this a much tighter affair than what it ended up being, it looks good for your side. You can say, guys, and there's still a lot of positives. I'm sure Des Hasler will get around them and say, boys, we beat ourselves in this one. We, gave away too many errors and the Storm made us pay. But we can build from that. And I do think they can build from that. It is just interesting to see what they're going to do with their halves and fullback. AJ Brimson was out of this one after suffering a concussion I don't think it was the warm-up, but it might have been like the day or two before the game. So that meant Jaden Campbell, their halfback this year, ended up at fullback with Kieran Foran and Tom Weaver in the halves. Now, in my opinion, Kieran Foran and, Tom Weaver, maybe not, but Kieran Foran should be in their halves 24/7. He is the best half at the club. And what they do at fullback, I'm still not sure because, Keanu Kenny's I don't know if he's their best. I love Keanu Kenny, but I think all three of their main fullbacks can be the best on their day. But Keanu Kenny has cemented that fullback spot as his own. But then Jaden Campbell comes out and he's moved there in this one, and he was terrific for the bloody Titans. So it sort of makes more question marks that they look, pretty solid in a game where they're not playing Brimson and Campbell in the halves. But then again, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was against the Knights or something, AJ Brimson was the man who scored 2 tries and won the Titans the game almost single-handedly at 5'8". So, they've all had these games where they can be good in the halves, but then they move to fullback and they're just even better. And Kieran Foran and Tom Weaver as well, I want to pay him his respects in this one. He's been not shafted, but he hasn't kicked on the way he would, and he's always been in and out of first grade. He hasn't been given a proper opportunity to be that guy for the club, especially, being that guy coming through the grades. But I thought he was good in this one. It's just, I don't know what they do in that halves position. So Keanu Kenny's, he shouldn't be too far away, I don't think. I think it's about round 18 or something that he's supposed to be back. And then, what's even more confusing is they've locked up Brimson long-term. They locked up Keeney long-term earlier this season. I'm not quite sure what Campbell's contract is, but I assume he's on a decent contract and probably there for another couple of years. And then they've just gone and re-signed Jalen de Groot today or yesterday or whatever it was. And what's the plan? What's the plan with, you've now got 4 gun fullbacks. Where are you going to play them? So, I don't really know what the answers are for the Titans, but regardless, it was a solid performance. They went up against a Storm team coming off the bye, getting some of their Origin players back, and they're a top side in the competition. And they shot themselves in the foot, Titans, but there's enough there to be proud of. And I think, they can build off this. In terms of standout players for them, we'll start with Jaden Campbell while we're here. So, moved to fullback, as I said, and in that fullback jersey, 16 runs, 164 metres, 1 line break assist, 2 try assists, and a try and 3 tackle breaks. He was great. He scored his try by backing up exactly how a fullback should. He's always there when there's a break made, and that's what I said in the preseason. If you guys go back and listen to my preseason stuff, what I loved in the preseason and why I thought that this Titans sort of halves and fullback could work before Keeney got injured was they all played as sort of fullbacks. Whenever there was a break, which normally it was like Keanu Kenny making 4 runs a set and making a half break, and Campbell and Brimson would be there in support. So you could make it happen if you could just make a break with a dynamic forward or a dynamic player like Keanu Kenny. All 3 of these players that just give you so many options to make that happen. I think they're really missing David Fafita this year. I know he wasn't great before his injury, but a dynamic and game-breaking forward like him is exactly what this Titans team needs to be able to have that sort of play going on. And, of course, they're really missing Keanu Kenny. I think he's one of the best players at their club and he needs to be there. So they're missing that, but there's no excuses. They've been missing them for a long time, and they've just got to make it work. But, yeah, Jaden Campbell, he was excellent in this one. Philip Sammy as well, another man that I thought was very hard done by to get left out of Origin for debutant Robert Toya. Nothing against Rob Toya, and as I said, I thought he was really good on debut for Queensland. But someone like Phil Sammy has been there and done it, and in this game, on the wing, to be fair, not at centre, but 18 runs, 203 metres, 1 line break, 0 tackle breaks for Philip Sammy, which is crazy, and 2 tries. Whether he's at centre or he's on the wing, he just does it each and every week, to be fair. So I thought he was excellent in this one. Jojo Fafita, I thought was good. He did have a missed tackle. I think it was on someone that might have ended up to a try. I might be remembering that completely incorrectly, but he also had that play where he just scooted to the outside. That's right. It was Jojo Fafita who linked up with Jaden Campbell when he just used his speed and scooted to the outside, got a really good fend into the chest of, I think it was Jack Howarth on return from injury. Made that break and then linked up with Jaden Campbell, who scooted away for the try. Ended up with 11 runs for 149 metres, 1 line break, 1 try assist, and 2 tackle breaks. Thought he was good. And what I liked as well, he's fucking quick. When Grant Anderson made that, 100-metre bloody intercept try, it was Jojo Fafita just zooming from behind, and he overtook Phil Sammy, who's a noted flyer. We've seen Sammy run down the Fox. Overtook Sammy in the chase, didn't quite get to Howarth before the try line, but he was zooming behind him. It's been mentioned that he's probably as fast or faster than Alofiana Khan-Pereira. In that moment, it looked bloody like it. Beyond that, for the Titans, I thought Sam Verrills had some good moments. Chris Randall was solid in defence. I thought Beau Fermor was actually really good backing up from Origin. 17 runs, 170 metres from him, 30 tackles, 0 missed. Tino also backing up from Origin, 71 minutes. Just absurd. 16 runs, 131 metres, 28 tackles, 1 missed. He's just a weapon. We mentioned the halves were good. What I do want to quickly say before we move on to the Storm is I don't know about this Titans bench. So their bench consists of Jacob Alakwinki, played 5 minutes. Isaac Fa'asua-Mala'awi, 3 minutes. Cleese Haas, 22 minutes. And then I don't even know who their other interchange. Mo Fodawaker ended up coming off the bench and played 38, which normally you'd get more out of him, but of course backing up from Origin. So it's just, I know Tino's your best player and he's the heart and soul of your club and you need him out there. But 71 minutes backing up from Origin and getting just nothing out of your other forwards off the bench is just... Yeah, it's an interesting sort of play, but yeah, we'll have to see where they go from there. Over to the Melbourne Storm. A good win. As I said, it helped that the Titans gave them essentially 3 tries, but we've also said the good teams will always make you pay for those errors and ill discipline, and the Storm did just that. They're one of the better teams, and they find ways to win these. I like the interview with Cameron Munster going into halftime and just the way that he sort of summed that up. So I won't go and say what he said verbatim, but go and have a look at that one if you haven't already. But they just have a good energy around the club at the moment, it seems. They know that they're going to win games. It's not like a cockiness, but they just believe they're always pretty calm and pretty lax about, we know our system and we will win these games. And they did. They went about it and they won their game. There's not really much new to say about their premiership credentials or things that they're doing that other teams aren't doing. It's just another win chalked up on the scoreboard, and they keep their rise to the top going. So yeah, just a really good win from the Storm, especially when you consider how many players that they had backing up from Origin. In terms of standout players, I'm actually going to start with Sua Fa'alongo. So I thought, we mentioned that try he picked up and scooted away against the Titans, and in general, it just sort of typified his night and the sort of player he is. His signature energy and just instincts, they almost single-handedly gave the Storm the lead, like in that first half in particular. So he scored the first try, which just off a good Storm play over to the right-hand side, scored that one. But then, the second try being just his reaction to scoop up a loose ball and run 40-odd metres to score was just... how quick he just got amongst that. A lot of players just sit back and say, oh, the Titans just fucked up. We'll just jump on them and call it a day. But as soon as that ball went to ground, he sprints up off his line, gets to the ball before the Titans players. He just wanted it more. That's his energy. And he just scooted away to score that. And he also saved a Titans try, which would have been a certain try when he took a Jaden Campbell intercept as well. So there's like 2 12-point swings, which gave the Storm the the lead. And when you look at the scoreline, only winning by 12, you could argue that Suafalongo was the man that really won them the game. I thought he was excellent. Just a really, really good game from Suafalongo. He still has his shortcomings in defence and whatnot, but these sort of effort areas and this energy can do so many things for your side. So thought he was really good for them out there. Grant Anderson as well, named at centre. I think we put him in our team of the week at centre, despite the fact he ended up playing on the wing. Amazing. It's like he's signed to the Broncos next year, and I think it's a really good get for the Broncos, though I don't particularly know what they do with him unless they're expecting Katoni Staggs or Selwyn Cobbo to walk. I can't remember if they've wrapped up either of those two yet. But I think he's just the sort of player that they need. He doesn't do doesn't do anything outstanding. He's not a game-breaking player, but he does have moments where he can. He's just really consistent, whether he's at center, at winger. You could put him at fullback, and I know he'd do a job. So I just see him being really good at the Broncos. I hope they use him effectively, but if they don't, far out, like Hubby coming back to the Storm. The Storm are going to miss him dearly. There's very much a world where he could stay in this side, maybe not over Warbrick, but maybe over Howarth. I don't know. Like, it's really interesting what they're going to do with him. Obviously, they probably won't keep him in there for too much longer, knowing that he's going over to the Broncos. But if they want to win a premiership this year, which they're very much in the running to do, he's a player that can win a premiership. Maybe not from an outright play, but he'll be a big part of it. He's a good player, Grant Anderson. In this game, 15 runs, 217 metres, no tackle breaks, no line breaks, no line break assists, no try assists, like none of that, and still ran for 217 metres and scored 2 tries. Of course, he did have like the 90-metre intercept, which adds up to that. But yeah, he's just a fucking great player, Grant Anderson. Thought he was excellent in this one. Nick Meaney is the other man that, like, I don't think Nick Meaney has been that great this year, in and out through injury and whatnot. But, like, when they get Coates back and Warbrick back and Howarth's now back, maybe it's Nick Meaney who falls out of this side for Grant Anderson, because Grant Anderson's been great. And don't get me wrong, I love Nick Meaney. The year that Pappy was out and he was filling in at fullback, I thought he was tremendous. He's been very solid this year, don't get me wrong, but Grant Anderson, he's putting a lot of pressure on all of the outside backs, and that's always a good thing. Beyond that, standout players for the Storm, Josh King, I thought was really good. 65 minutes he got through, increased minutes with all of their other forwards and the Origin sort of affected stuff. 19 runs, 147 metres from Josh King and 33 tackles. I thought Eli Katoa was really, really good as well. 17 runs, 189 metres from Katoa, ended up with 41 tackles, 4 missed. And Trent Liero ended up coming off the bench, but I think he came on and then just played the rest of the game from about like the 20-minute mark onwards. 12 runs, 132 metres and 41 tackles from Trent Liero as well. Nelson Asofa Solomona, he ended up starting the game at lock. Thought he was really, really big in his time on the field with 9 runs for 90 metres. He just looks like he's got a chip on his shoulder, and that's exactly what they need out of him. And Bronson Garlick, I didn't think was tremendous, but it's just more so when Tyron Wishart came onto the field and reprieved Bronson Garlick. He just showed exactly what we saw of him last year and why he's one of the best 14s in the comp. Scored a try as soon as he sort of came onto the field. 8 runs, 72 metres, good line break in there. And 23 tackles, 0 missed in 45 minutes. He presumably, they play in round 18, which is the next bye round that they'll be without their Origin players. You'd assume Tyron Wishart will move into the halves with Cameron Munster out, but there's every chance he ends up playing at hooker and they move Keegan Russell Smith, I believe it is, or Jonah Pezzett, who's returned from injury. Oh, I think, did Pezzett go down with another injury? I can't recall, but regardless of what you do with Wishart, they're a better team when he's on the field. I thought he was really, really good. That's sort of all we can talk about for that side. Let's move into the next game. The Cowboys defeating the Wests Tigers 32-28. Now, this game was a very, very fun game to watch. These sides have notoriously had some very high-scoring games in the past few seasons. Obviously, there was I think it was like a 66-18 win or something that the Tigers did, and then like 2 weeks later, or not 2 weeks, but maybe like 6 weeks later, they versed the Cowboys again, and the Cowboys won like 74-0 or 74-6 or something. There's always been a lot of tries, questionable defense, but it's always made for entertainment. These tries, especially even in this one, there's some crazy stuff being scored, like the Tigers' first try. I believe it was their first try. The Stafford-Toa first try was literally just going through the hands of nearly every darn player on the field. They went for a short side play, really good hands to put, I think it was Dewey away, then Dewey linked back up. I'm not going to go through all of it. If you haven't seen the try, go and watch it. But yeah, just pass and pass and kick and pass and all the way out from one side to the other. Stafford-Toa goes in to score. That was just so fun to watch. And that just sort of typified the entire game in general. Let's start. Well, while we're on the Tigers, I guess we'll start over with them. To be honest, I thought they were let down, or they let themselves down when they had the sin bin. So Jerome Luai got sent for attending the bin in the 11th minute for too many repeated infringements. It wasn't penalties, but it was too many 6 agains in a row. So it was a mandatory sin bin. He sat down, and that was in the 11th. While he was off the field, while he was on the field, no tries were scored. And as soon as he was off, John Bateman scored in the 13th and Jackson Purdue scored in the 16th. That Bateman try as well was essentially from kickoff. They went the entire length of the field. I think did they take a penalty goal? Yeah, so they took the penalty goal as soon as Luai was sent off, and then the ball's kicked off from the Tigers. And it's essentially they go straight through with Reece Robson does a beautiful run out of dummy half and then links with Reuben Cotter, and he runs about 50-odd metres off a break just up the field. Doesn't have a support get to him in time. Then there's a tackle. They feed it over to Dearden, and he just scoots across the field, just sprinting, breaking tackles, makes a half break as well, and then offloads inside for John Bateman to score. Another brilliant try, and really interesting to see. We're really exciting to see that it was their 3 origin players like Robson, Cotter, and Dearden all linking to start that try. They were played the biggest hands in it, besides Bateman, of course, scoring it. So I thought that was really good to see. But yeah, there was that. As soon as the Tigers were a man down, that one scored, and then there's the Jackson Purdue try 3 minutes after that. And then when Luai came back onto the field, no more tries are scored until the 39th minute. And keep in mind, the 39th minute there's a try scored because Adam Dewey is sent to the sin bin in the 36th minute. So while Dewey's off the field, there is a try in the 39th, a try in the 40th minute just after halftime, or just before halftime, sorry, and a try in the 45th minute. So 5 of the Cowboys' tries came when the Tigers only had 12 men on the field. When they had 13 people on the field, they scored in the 24th, the 62nd, the 64th, the 67th, the 75th minute. They were the better side, you could say, in that period. But again, you play what's in front of you. It's not the Cowboys' fault that the Tigers only had 12 on the field. That's the Tigers' fault for having those ill discipline. And the Cowboys they made them pay for it. So the Cowboys were the worthy winner of the side, but there's a lot to take away from this from the Tigers' perspective, in my opinion. But as I said, just as a general fan watching this, it was just really fun footy to watch, to be honest. So while we're on the Tigers, let's look a bit more into some of their standout players. We put a post up on the story about this man right here. Jareem the Dream Buller, honestly, he kept the dream alive for the Tigers in this one. He scored in the 75th minute, but just all of his play leading up to that, he's just getting better and better and better. He's just always around the football, whether it's in support, off kick returns, sweeping across in attack, or even just chasing down the opposition. Whether or not he gets to him or not, he's always making that play, making that effort to get there. There was Scott Drinkwater scored a really, really good try just before halftime from a scrum-based play, again when the Tigers were short a player, and he made that play, made them pay. He went straight through the gap that Adam Dewey would have been in and just ran about 80 metres to score, burning off Jerome Luai. And Jareem Buller from across the field, sprinting, almost gets there to save that try. I think there was another man that he ran down doing a similar thing. As I said, he's just always in frame. You can't really avoid him. He had a bit of a, maybe not down year last year, but didn't reach the highs of his debut year. But this year, I think he's been absolutely excellent, Jareem Buller. I'll bring up his full stats for this game, but the stats probably don't do him justice. So 25 runs, 224 metres, one line break assist, one try assist, one try, 4 tackle breaks. Fantastic stats, and genuinely probably doesn't do him justice. I thought he was unbelievable. Didn't quite make our starting team of the week. I think we put him on the bench. I better have put him on my bench for the team of the week. But yeah, he was fantastic during Buller. Other players for the Tigers, I thought Charlie Staines, honestly, he has turned into a bit of a reliable footballer. When back in the day, he was almost a net negative for having him on the field. He didn't get through the work. He had a few too many errors. He was a target for the high ball. He just had too many shortcomings that he couldn't be a reliable first grader. But now I think he's just turned into a very, very solid first grader. So 21 runs Charlie Staines made, 219 metres off that, one line break and a try as well. He's not been named for this coming week with, of course, Jarrell Skelton coming back into the side. But if Charlie Staines is your depth and he can put up these numbers, you've got tremendous depth there. So I thought Charlie Staines was really, really good in this one. And to be honest, I think he's been really good anytime he's been called upon this year. And there were a lot of stages last year I thought he was getting better and better as he went on as well. So shout out to Charlie Staines. Heath Mason at 5'8", I thought he was tremendous in this one. His first game at 5'8" at an NRL level, I believe he might have played Australian schoolboys in the role. So he's not unfamiliar to the 5'8" role. And with how good he played in this one, he has just been named there again ahead of Latu Fainu heading into round 14. Of course, the Lockie Galvin drama, the saga, has come to an end. He has departed the club, so they can move on from that. And I really thought that this was going to be an interesting game from them to see how they bounce back from that. It's sort of marred, if you will, by the fact that they had 2 sin bins, so we didn't get to see their full ability or how their attitude was. But the fact that they just kept trying to the end and they almost won this game, I think that says enough about this Tigers team that I'm excited to see where they go from here. And Heath Mason, whether or not he's their long-term 5'8", probably not. You'd expect Latu Fainu to get there again. But he played that well that you can't take him out of that position, at least by 1 week, in my opinion. 13 runs, 123 metres from Heath Mason, 2 line breaks, 1 line break assist, 3 tackle breaks and a try. The other thing is, he made the initial break out of his own end to give the Tigers the field position, which they ended up scoring off the very next play. Actually, he scored off the very next play to keep the dream alive with about 15 minutes to go. So, yeah, he was the one who made that break out of his own end, linked with Taruva, blah, 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 links with Buller. Buller gets tackled. It's spread out to the left, and then it's spread back to Heath Mason. It wasn't even spread. Jack Bird just started crabbing across field, got it back to Heath Mason, who scored that try. So he started the play before by making the initial break out of his own end and then scored the tackle after by supporting and stepping and going through the gap there. So I thought he was fantastic there. He also had the half break, if you will. I think it ended up being one of his line break assists, but poked his nose through the line, offloaded brilliantly to Tony Sukar, who had fantastic hands from Sukar to pick that up and start another attacking raid on the right-hand side of the field. Ended up knocking it on and sort of not bombing a try, but I guess bombing a try with a poor last pass from Sukar. But that was another moment of Heath Mason with his ability in this game. I thought he was just really, really good for the Tigers. I also thought Jack Bird, so he ended up playing a lot of this game at lock forward after Alex Twal was ruled out less than 10 minutes into the game with a head knock. So Jack Bird got on the field and he had a few moments that he was poor. Like there was a few passes that went to ground or not being in the right position. I think he had a bit of a run-in with Jerome Luai where they chewed each other out for being in the wrong positions or whatnot at one point, but I thought he played with a lot of ticker, Jack Bird, in this one. 13 runs from him, 105 metres in 52 minutes, 6 tackle breaks, and 30 tackles for 1 miss. He was just always involved. Yeah, just, as I said, had a few errors, but fuck, I thought he played with a lot of ticker, and that's exactly what you want when you have your players go down. That's the other thing about this game. You know, they had their 2 sin bins. They had 12 ruled out really early on. Royce Hunt, I don't know if he was ruled out, but he only played 15 and never came back on. And then he hasn't been named this week, not even in the extended squad. So I assume there was something that went on there as well. They had Brent Naden off their bench and Jack Bird. So they're essentially got, you know, they had a lot of things go against them, and they almost won this game, the Tigers. So I just love seeing their attitude. I thought they were really good. Any other standout players? Again, you could name the entire squad. Like, all of their outside backs were really good. Stafford Toa. I mean, I can't believe I haven't even mentioned Stafford Toa yet. He was unreal. Just ever since, like, when we mentioned those games where, you know, they had the 66-18 game or whatever it was, and then they had the 74-6 game or whatever it was. Stafford Toa had one game where he was the best player in the world, and then the next game he was absolutely terrible and had a bath at centre. Since last year and going into this year, even though he's been injured and in and out of the team, he has been so damn good for the Tigers every time he's played for him over the past couple of seasons. He just continues to get better. In this game, he ended up with 13 runs, 177 metres, 3 line breaks, 14 tackle breaks, and 2 tries. Made our team of the week. He's a very, very talented footballer, and he's going to continue to get better. So, yeah, I thought he was tremendous in this one for the Tigers. Beyond that, I thought Luai was good. Terrell May, we mention him every week. We'll mention him again. Read these stats. 75 minutes, 21 runs, 207 metres, 1 line break assist, 3 tackle breaks, and 42 tackles, 0 missed. It is numbers that are out of this world, but he's doing it each and every week that it's almost like boring to talk about. He's one of the best footballers in the game at the moment. Like, him and Payne Haas are by far the best front rowers, and we're in an era where front row is bloody good. So, yeah, he was tremendous, Terrell May. Beyond that, as I said, there was a lot of good performance for the Tigers, but we better get over to the Cowboys. For the Cowboys, it's an interesting one. They won the game. They looked bloody good, but as I said, they looked good when they were up against 12 men. All of their tries, every single one except for, like, Tom Dearden's last try, was against 12 men. That is 5 tries against 12 men and only 1 against 13. So it's hard to get a read. It's a good win for the club. It's what they needed against a good outfit in the Tigers. They're no pushover, but as I said, I think they were the better team. But it's hard to just get a read, because would we have known if they were the better team if they were against a full strength side the entire time? Who knows? But the questions that we don't have the answers to. All you have to do is say, we got the win, we move on. And that's sort of all there really is to it. That leaves them, where are they on the ladder now? That brings them up into 6th place on the ladder, sort of solidifies them in the top 8 at the moment. Of course, a very close competition, but I do think the Cowboys will probably be there at the pointy end of the season. Again, a lot of players backing up from Origin. Reduced minutes. I like the way that they actually sort of use their Origin players in this one. It wasn't a come back from Origin, play the full game. I liked how Peyton sort of managed his men. And when they were on the field, they were very, very good. We already mentioned the Reuben Cotter, the Reece Robson, sort of how they performed and how they were very, very good out there. The best player on the field for them was by far Tom Dearden, backing up from Origin. Of course, only off the bench, so he was pretty fresh to get through a full game. But fucking hell, Tom Dearden was the best player in the entire round, in my opinion. He was unbelievable. So his stats, 20 runs, 174 metres. Where are we for the rest of these? 0 line breaks, 5 line break assists, 2 try assists, 6 tackle breaks, and a try. He was like the best player on the field. He could not be stopped. He was the best player of the round. He was unbelievable. And to do that after the Origin stuff and how Queensland were poor, and to also, with all the stuff about Daly Cherry Evans, whether or not he's going to get picked, you can't really do much more for yourself than go out and play like this and say, hey, I should be the next man to replace Daly Cherry Evans. So I thought Tom Dearden was unbelievable, genuinely unbelievable. His halves partner, Jackson Purdue. You guys know I'm very high on this kid, plays with a lot of ticker. He's always in and around what's happening on the field. Wherever the ball is, you can always find Jackson Purdue in frame. He's a great player. Didn't have his best game when he was moved to 5'8" a couple of weeks ago before the Origin bye, but he is a halves player. I think he could be a fullback. I think fullback could genuinely be his best position. personally, I'd still be having him at centre, but then you see a game like this and you're like, okay, this is the vision. He will be their 5/8 moving forward, and I think he can do a great job there. Thought he was excellent in this one. So 11 runs, 106 metres, 2 line breaks, 1 line break assist, 2 try assists, 3 tackle breaks, and a try. He's just has so much speed. That try, no, it was the last try he set up to Tom Dearden was a lot of, it was like three different breaks in the play. Like there was a break from Zach Labert. I think the Tigers bombed the try. Labert picked it up. And far out, while we're on Labert, he can bloody move. He had a couple runs where his footwork was just insane. The ACL injury does not seem to have slowed Zach Labert down at all. But yeah, so he made sort of a break off a Tigers error, stepping left and right and just beating everyone with his footwork. It was extraordinary to watch. Then there's an offload or a tackle. Then it gets to Dearden. Dearden gives it to Purdue. Purdue puts a big right foot step on Jerome Luai, sprints through the gap with his explosive speed, and then links up back with Tom Dearden supporting up the middle as well. That was unreal to see from the halves of the Cowboys, and I'm really excited to see how that combination grows. I've always thought that Tom Dearden could make a very big fistful out of the halfback role. I know his best strength is his running game, but you can run as a halfback. I think people really think that halfbacks just have to kick well and do nothing else. Absolutely not. You can 100% run as a halfback. When you think of the best in our game, Jonathan Thurston, Sean Johnson's maybe not the best in our game, but a running halfback. Andrew Johns, they have all their other facets, but you have to be able to be a strong runner, and I think Tom Dearden can do that. So I'm really excited about their halves. Thought they were excellent. Their fullback, Scott Drinkwater, I thought he was quiet in quotation marks, but it's more so because he recognised that his halves and the rest of his team had the hot hand, and he sort of just got out of the way and he chimed in whenever he needed to chime in. He did so to perfection. Obviously scored that like 70, 80 metre runaway try off the scrum. So he ended up with 14 runs for 200 metres. And he chimed in with another try assist as well and a try. So, yeah, 1 try and a try assist in 200 metres is a bloody good knock. But when you look at the game, he wasn't nearly as involved as the halves, and that's no blight at all. I thought he was great in the way he played his role, chiming in exactly where he needed. So he was great. Zach Labert, while we're on him, we mentioned all that stuff, so I won't go into that. But 9 runs, 139 metres, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 4 tackle breaks for Zach Labert. As I said, ACL does not look to have slowed him down at all. Jackson Purdue on debut. How about this for a knock on debut? Well, not on NRL debut, but on club debut. Did I say Purdue? I meant Jackson Paulo. Played for the Roosters, played for Manly, played for the Rabbitohs. He's over at the Cowboys now. On club debut, Jackson Paulo, 21 runs, 285 metres, 2 line breaks, 3 tackle breaks and a try. I thought he was very good. I've always had a lot of reservations about Paulo, whether or not he's a first grader in my opinion. But then games like this, he has them in him, and fuck, he was tremendous in this one as well. For the rest of the club, we've mentioned sort of Cotter. We mentioned the Origin players. Nanai was also very good, scoring another try. John Bateman scoring a try against his former club. Missed a lot of tackles, like when you look at the stats, but defensively, I thought he was actually pretty darn good. Like, he was just always there and always chasing back as well. When we mentioned that one that Heath Mason scored the next play, it was John Bateman who ran across from the other side of the field to make the tackle on Jareem Buller to stop them from scoring that play. Yeah, and it didn't make a difference because the Tigers scored the next play, but John Bateman doesn't really have any right to be getting back there and making a cover tackle on a flying fullback of Jareem Buller, but he did. So I thought he was really good, John Bateman. It was good little knock to get a try against his former club as well. And finally, off the bench, Griffin Neame and Cohen Hess I thought were huge. 13 runs for Griffin Neame for 144 metres and 12 runs from Cohen Hess for 134 metres. They were just, as soon as they came on, they changed the momentum. And in fairness, I thought Jordan McLean was pretty good in his time on the field as well, with 11 runs for 121 metres. So yeah, it's an interesting sort of dynamic for both of these clubs, what it would have meant had things played out a bit differently. But in the end, the Cowboys picked up the win. They go higher on the ladder. The Tigers fall down the ladder a little bit, but I have great faith in both of these sides. I think the Cowboys will be there in the finals come finals time. And I think the Tigers, they will do very well to fight and be there. I think they will make a big play for it. I really like this Tigers side. So Really good game to watch. And yeah, just good win for the Cowboys. Moving on to the next game. We're going to spend less time on this one. The Seagulls and the Broncos. It's starting to be a little bit weird because I feel like it's always the Seagulls and Broncos I'm spending quote unquote less time on. But let's go through our dues. Last week, I was saying how I am very, very worried about the Seagulls. And, you know, they had that loss against the Eels when they had Tom Trbojevic in there and whatnot. They had no excuse to lose that game, especially not the way that they lost it. And then they came into this game and I tipped against them. I tipped the Broncos, even though the Broncos have been far, far from consistent this year. But I'm starting to think that the Seagulls are done. I thought that their season was very much fading away. And then they get a win like this. And it was a huge win. Again, Broncos, they've got their own problems and we'll get to them in a little bit. But 34-6 over the Broncos is a huge, huge knock. They were genuinely tremendous. And the big part about it was their halves, I thought, stood up like we haven't really seen from them this season. You know, the Daly Cherry Evans drama of leaving the club and whether or not that's affecting them, that's been said since that information came out about DCE. And he hasn't been in the best form since then either. And then he has this Origin game and everything's said about him and he's losing his role. That will be his last Origin game. He sails off into the sunset. Well, not even into the sunset because they were lost. Like, it's done for DCE and Origin. He's leaving the club. All these different narratives about DCE. And then he comes out. He hears all that chat and he just went about silencing the critics like in every way he could. His kicking game was unbelievable. He set up the Nathan Brown try after a little bit of a break on the left-hand side, and then instead of spreading it, he knew to just put the deft little grubber kick in. Brown ran through and scored there. He set up the Olakau'atu try one of the Olakau'atu tries, because Olakau'atu scored one off Luke Brooks, I think, from a bomb. But he set that one up, and he set the Fulalo try off another deft kick as well. He had pinpoint accuracy in the long kicking department, just turning the Broncos around and trapping them on their line. He couldn't have played a better game at halfback, to be honest, and it's crazy that he comes out and does this after all the chat about him. And on the other end of the spectrum, Luke Brooks, he was really poor last week. I came on here and said that he was poor. I know other people said that he was poor. He comes out to silence his critics, and he puts on a huge, huge game as well. He was just clinical. He had some of the most silky touches you would see on a footy field. He had a brilliant 40-20, which in fairness, Jesse Arthur's had a bit of a nightmare just not attacking that one. But even if he did, I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. It was a great, great 40-20 from Brooks. The ball he threw to Tolu Cooler at the end to put Cooler through for a try is as good of a ball you will see in footy, like in rugby league in general, in any game. And as I said, he had that, I think he had one of the kicks for Olakau'atu as well. I think it was him. It might have been someone else. But yeah, Luke Brooks and Daly Cherry Evans, after all the narratives and what was being said about them, they were tremendous in this one. So I think that was the recipe for the Seagulls in their success in here. The other big man for them was bloody Lehigh Hopewate. He was amazing. It's so crazy that whenever Turbo's gone down, they've always found a pretty not stock standard, but a really good replacement. Like Garrick, when he was at fullback a couple of years ago, was good. Kula, when he was at fullback, was amazing. But then Lehigh Hopewate is probably the best of the lot of these Turbo replacements. 24 runs, 237 metres, 2 line break assists, 2 try assists. I've just remembered. So one of the Olakau'atu tries isn't off Cherry Evans' kick necessarily. Cherry Evans puts the grubber kick through for Lehigh Hopewate, who cleans it up. He gets through, gets that ball, and then he links with Olakau'atu. So it's a Lehigh Hopewate try assist, but it was started by Daly Cherry Evans in that one. But yeah, Lehigh, he was just always around the football. It's crazy that someone of his size is getting through the work he's doing. Like 24 runs for 237 metres is tremendous. And then his hands are just incredible. Like the way he got through and collected that grubber kick and just really soft hands to Olakau'atu for a try. And then the other one was a fucking beautiful cutout ball to Clayton Fulalo on the wing, who scored a really good try. Like, they were great, and they've still got Trbojevic to come back in. I don't know what they do with it. Like, obviously, you'd still have to have him at fullback, you think? But Lehigh plays games like this and they put maybe their best game of the season on, and it's like, should we be making changes? I don't know. Trbojevic is not due back for another week, I don't believe. So we get another look at this, and if they go again and do another performance like this, maybe it's a Trbojevic to centre sort of thing, Garrick back to the wing. I don't know, but like, yeah, fuck, Lehigh in the halves, they were fantastic in this game. They stood up above everyone. In terms of other standout players, thought Ethan Bullymore at prop was really good. He's been good for them all year. I think the last 2 weeks he's been fairly quiet, but he's been their best forward, I want to say, all year, most consistent. 15 runs, 140 metres, line break in there and a tackle break, 25 tackles, 2 missed. He just brings a different dynamic to them. A lot of their forwards are really big. Again, don't want to say plotters, but there's not a huge amount of different like play style to them. It's just, we're big, we'll make our meters and go through. Bullymore is very fast. He's got a great leg speed. He's got good footwork, and he's just a bit of a different body shape. He was really good in this one. Olakau'atu scored 2 tries. Again, you've got to say he was fantastic. 11 runs, 103 metres, 25 tackles. In fairness, I thought he was really quiet in the first half, but his second half, I thought he was tremendous, Olakau'atu. So give my shout out to him there. Jazz Tavanga at lock, 69 minutes from him, 21 runs, 159 metres, 36 tackles. We've been saying for a while that he should be their lock, and if you want Jake Trbojevic out there, put him at prop. And then they've just named their team for round 14, and Jazz Tavanga's back to the bench, and Jake Trbojevic is at lock, and it just, I don't know, it blows me away. I don't think Jake Trbojevic is a bad player, but he's well past his prime of making meters, and Jazz Tavanga does everything that this Seagulls team needs. And again, he's a different body shape out there. I don't know how after his last few games where he's been at lock forward, you can possibly move him back to the bench, but we'll see how they go from that. Clayton Falalo as well, thought he was really good, as he always is. He just comes up with great plays. We mentioned him essentially beginning of last year that he is a fucking good footballer, and every time he's come into first grade, he's looked every bit the first grader. 17 runs, 163 metres, 3 line breaks, 2 tries. He also had that play where he was about to go out, threw it back into himself, threw it up in the air, stepped out, came back in, caught the ball. He's a freak footballer, Clayton Falalo. And Nathan Brown, the last man to get a mention with his, runs off the back fence, as we know, but a good try to break like a 50-something game try drought as well. So I thought he was excellent. But yeah, huge win for the Seagulls. If they can continue playing footy like this, they're 100% a top 8 threat. But we just need to see them be more consistent. It will help that if Cherry Evans is left out of Origin, he can just fire them the way he did in this one. So we'll have to see how that all plays out for them. For the Broncos, it's now a bit of a flip of the script on what I said about the Seagulls last week. They're saying their season's done or very much fading away. The Broncos, I don't know what to say. They've got too many questions that need answers, and I don't think they have enough answers out there. I don't have any answers for them. You look at their squad, even now without Reece Walsh and Jesse Arthur's at fullback, you sit here and go, this is a squad. This is a bloody good team. And then they lose, and they don't just lose, they look terrible. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? What is going wrong? Jesse Arthur's 22 runs, 219 metres, as a fill-in fullback was really good. Obviously had that the 40-20 quote-unquote error, but he was good. Selwyn Colbo got through his work. Gamut Shibisaki has been really good all year, 14 tackles with only 1 miss. Katoni Staggs made 31 tackles for 1 miss at centre. Where's it going wrong? I don't know. Again, you can look at the fact that the Seagulls scored, as I said, essentially 4 tries from kicks. So there's both Olakau'atu tries are from kicks, essentially. What's the other one? The Brown try was from a kick. So maybe it's only 3. Clayton Falalo's, I think both of them were normal tries, and Kula was from a try. Regardless, though, it doesn't matter. The Seagulls could have scored 2 tries and they still win this game. The Broncos scored 1 fucking try. And the big thing about the Seagulls is normally we've been saying they lose games when their forward pack's dominated, but they win when they get a roll on. Why is the Broncos forward pack not dominating them? They still had Payne Haas. They still had Paddy Carrigan, 13 runs, 142 metres and 48 tackles. Payne Haas, 58 minutes, 11 runs, 139 metres, 27 tackles. Like, why aren't they dominating? Why aren't they dominating the middle and then playing with their strike weapons out the back? I don't have answers for the Broncos. I watch every game and I still don't know what to say about them. I'm very worried about them as a side. They do get Reece Walsh back this week and maybe he can bring them something in attack. But yeah, I just don't know what to say about the Brisbane Broncos at the moment. So if you've got more, if you're a Broncos fan, you've been watching them maybe even closer than I have, and you have some suggestions or things that you're noticing, feel free to DM me. I'd love to have a chat about it. But at the moment, there's not much I can say because I don't know for the Broncos at the moment. In terms of standouts, look, you have to say that their main men again. We've already mentioned Jesse Arthurs, who was good. Cobbo was good. Shibasaki was good. Tony Staggs defensively was really good. Payne Haas, we've got to mention him again. Look, he did have some uncharacteristic errors in this one, but again, he's backing up off a man of the match performance for the Blues, and he still played with so much heart for the Broncos in this one. It's crazy that like every time there is a break, Payne Haas will always be in the frame chasing back. He's the epitome of hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. And that's not to say that he isn't talented, because he is one of the most gifted athletes I've ever seen. He just doesn't rely on his talent to get him by. He has no right to be his size, and every time there's a fullback or a break or a kick, you will always see Payne Haas chasing harder than any other Broncos player to be there. And he's a front rower who does all of the shit stuff too. Yeah, as I said, uncharacteristics from errors from him in this game, but I thought he played with so much heart. Pat Carrigan again, like these two front rowers, they can't do anything more for this side, and they're just getting no help out there, to be honest. Like Kobe Hetherington in this game, 47 minutes, 4 tackles, 4 runs, 29 meters, 37 tackles. It's just, I've noticed this week that they've moved him to the bench and they've brought Patrick Carrigan back to lock and Corey Jensen to start. Maybe it's what they need to do. It's so interesting that all this chat from the preseason about Kobe Hetherington, he leaves the club if you don't start him. So they start him, and it turns out that he's so much better off the bench. I don't think he's done himself, or him and his management have done himself any favours by pushing for this start and then not taking that opportunity. I think he's a good footballer, Kobe Hetherington, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't think he's been very good this year. Jordan Ricky, he's not giving much in attack, but still 12 runs, 101 metres and 53 tackles. I just don't know what to say about this Broncos team. I really don't. So that's sort of where I'm going to leave it. We'll just have to see how they bounce back heading into the rest of the season, if they can bounce back. Let's move into the next game. The New Zealand Warriors defeating the South Sydney Rabbitohs 36-30. Up the wires, bro. Like, I love this game. Obviously, I love this game. The Warriors won, but what it means for the Warriors season is actually a bit more than a lot of the other games this year. You know, a lot of other people have been saying, yeah, this Warriors side is better than like their 2023 side. And where they are on the ladder and considering all the circumstances and whatever, like 100% you can make a case for that. But in the way that they're playing their footy, I don't think so at all. Like, I think the 2023 side was a lot closer to the top teams than this Warriors side sort of has been. Like, we have still been blown off the park by the Storm, like 36 points and a half and whatnot. We were blown off by the Raiders in round 1, and we were good against them the other week, but like, there's still detriments to this side. I still think they're so far away from playing their best footy, but that's the exciting part, is we are firmly cemented in the top 4, and we haven't got close to our best. Now, this game, was it our best? No, absolutely not. We let in 30 points to the Rabbitohs, and the Rabbitohs aren't a bad side, but we shouldn't be letting in 30 points, especially when our defense has been so good. But it's a game that has given me even more confidence than some of the other wins that the Warriors have had. We've had these close ones, and you go against the Raiders game and say, yeah, it's a close game. And I took a lot away from it because I think the Raiders are a premiership threat and we competed to the very end. But I almost take more away from this one because our defense has been amazing all season. And while it wasn't in this game, the thing that hasn't been amazing for us has been our attack. And then we put 36 points on the Rabbitohs in this one. We attacked in sort of all ends of the field. From every position we had strike power. I really, really liked the way we went about our business in this one. So I got a bit hairy towards the end there. I was very worried when the Rabbitohs were on that comeback. I thought we were going to throw it away, but I take a lot out of this win, even though we shouldn't be conceding 30 points. I think, yeah, it's just a really good win for the Warriors, and yeah, I'm excited about what we can do moving forward. Now, the big thing from this was Mitch Barnett going down with an ACL injury, which is just terrible. It is awful. You never want to wish an ACL. You don't want to wish an injury on anyone. You never want to wish an ACL injury on anyone. But on our co-captain, the leader of our forward pack, one of the leaders of the Blues forward pack, to have this go down in a season where we could be making history is just gut-wrenching. I know he'll be back better. Maybe not better, but he'll be back. He'll go do his rehab. He's a hard worker. And he'll be back next year. But he's 31 maybe. It's like he's in his 30s now. He doesn't have a huge amount of time left. The Warriors are in one of their best positions to win a premiership in the club's history, and we lose our co-captain and leader in him. It is fucking terrible, especially because we backed him up from Origin. And I don't, like, an ACL injury can happen anywhere. It's not like a soft tissue injury. It's not like you're forcing anything. But did we need to back him up? It's all hindsight and whatnot. I don't blame the club, but it just kills even more that it happens when on the backup from Origin. It's just really, really tough outcome. It's the worst part about this game in particular. But look, that's footy. It happens. It's going to be a hard ask if we can win the comp this year without him. Let's put it that way. In terms of standout players for the Warriors, though, let's start with Chance Nickel-Klukstad. Now, I could quite possibly be the biggest Chance Nickel-Klukstad fan probably in the world, probably in the universe. Like, if there's 100 Chance Nickel-Klukstad fans, I'm one of them. If there's one Chance Nickel-Klukstad fan, it's me. And if there's none, I'm dead. I'm gone. Like, I love this player. I've been adamant that since we re-signed Roger, Chance should be our number one. He brings us so much in attack. Like, his work rate, he does very similar to what Roger does. And maybe he doesn't make the game-breaking like plays, but he makes so many runs. He gets through so much work. And he still has fantastic hands to be able to pass on to a winger and set up some tries. I've been very adamant that when, the Warriors were talking about a big signing and whether it was going to be Joey Manu, I was like, that is a fucking terrible signing because you're just signing someone on double the amount of money we'll sign Chance on to do the exact same thing Chance did. And then I'm so happy that I'm sort of vindicated, a bit from a selfish perspective, but he comes out and does this. 28 runs, 339 meters, 1 line break, 8 tackle breaks, and a try. He was unbelievable. We mentioned last week that he looked a step quicker, like he looked trim. He looked like he was bouncing off his feet a bit more, just a bit better. And he looked it again in this one. Like, he's still getting through the work that he has been, but he's doing so with an extra step in pace and better footwork. And he was so fucking good. He's one of the hardest workers in the game. He gets very little appreciation. We put up a story during this game with his stats at halftime, and I'll read them to you now for those of you who missed the story. But at halftime, he had 17 runs over 200 meters. He had 5 tackle breaks before halftime. He ended the game with, at the time I wrote this, it was 348 meters. They've obviously brought that down to 339. But yeah, he was just incredible. He also made a crucial try saver on Bailey Bentley-Harpe in the context of the game. Considering there's only a try in it, to make that try saver looking back could have changed the game big time. So yeah, he was unbelievable. He also helped win my bet because I put a bet on RTS, DWZ, and CNK, the three acronyms to score a try. All three scored a try, so got me some money there. But yeah, I thought he was just unbelievable, Charles Nickel-Klugstar. Other standout players, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. It goes hand in hand with the Chance comments, but him on the wing, I love. 21 runs, 168 metres, 2 line breaks, and 2 tries. He's just really good in the work he gets through there and everything he does. He had that sort of chase back on Alex Johnston where looked like he was going to get him and didn't quite get there, but it's good to see that effort as well and still show that he's not the fastest player in the comp. He's not slow, but he's not the fastest winger out there. But he was like, I'm going to fucking gun it. I'm going to blitz back there and I'm going to catch him. And he didn't. But Johnston's a bloody quick player. But I like just seeing that effort as well. I thought he was really, really good at Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Luke Metgoat, just again, ever since that Raiders game in round 1 in Vegas, he hasn't put a foot wrong, in my opinion. Like, besides his goal kicking, which, fuck me, he needs to fix that. He's been so good. His stats in this one, 4 runs, only 4 apparently, 111 metres from 4 runs, 2 line breaks, 1 try assist, and a try. Of course, it did help that his try was like almost like 70 metre sort of runaway try where he just blitzed them with his speed, burned off Jamie Humphries, who again isn't slow, but just left him for dead. He's a very, very good footballer, Luke Metcalf. I love his combination of his running game and his passing game and his kicking game. He's just growing into the season so nicely. I love how he's playing his footy. James Fisher-Harris ended up playing 56 minutes in this one with Mitch Barnett's injury. Only 9 runs for 76 metres, but 53 tackles from James Fisher-Harris. Just taking it to him all the way in the middle. Thought he was really good. Wade Egan, 64 minutes on the field, 8 runs, 74 metres, a line break assist, and a try assist. He was really good. Cape Wells, we gave him his big rap last week and just, echo what I said there. If you didn't hear what I said, go back and watch it. Thought Marata Niokore was very, very good with 10 runs, 101 metres. Aaron Clark, as good as ever, 13 runs, 131 metres, 48 tackles. And off the bench, Leka Halasima and Dimitri Varmunga, again, tremendous. And Jackson Ford, of course, with Mitch Barnett's injury, 59 minutes off the bench from Jackson Ford, 15 runs, 151 metres, 1 try assist, and 37 tackles. We've said it a million times, but if he can cut out his errors, he can be Mitch Barnett, essentially. Like, they're very, very similar players. They started on an edge in their career. They've been brought into the middle now. The way that they work, like their work rate, the way that they play their footy, it's very similar. He can be a very similar player to Mitch Barnett if he can cut out the errors. That's the only thing that keeps Jackson Ford back from being a great, great footballer is his errors. But if he can cut them out of his game, I still believe we have a shot at winning a comp this year because he can step into that role, but I know it's going to be a hard ask without Mitch Barnett now. But yeah, just really, really good win from the Warriors. I take a lot away from this one. On the other end of the spectrum, the Rabbitohs, I thought this was a really, really good game from them as well. Like, to come up against the Warriors who, as we said, solidified themselves in the top 4, and to take it to them all the way to the end was just fantastic stuff. Like, there was a good period where it looked like they were down and out. Like, they ended up scoring the 58th, the 62nd, the 75th minute to make their comeback look a little bit better. But that's the thing. They were down and out. They were well and truly out of this game. But not to them. Like, to everyone else in the crowd, to everyone else in watching at home on the TVs, the game was over. The Warriors with another huge win. They look like a premiership threat. And then the Rabbitohs like, nah, fuck that. If we're not done, we're going to keep going at it. And they kept going at it. And to be honest, it was essentially all on the back of 2 players, those players being Latrell Mitchell and Alex Johnston. This is the comeback, not necessarily the game itself, but the comeback itself was Alex Johnston and Latrell Mitchell. Let's start with Latrell and build our way to the man I want to talk about in Alex Johnston. He was so good. I thought his kick returns were really good. Like, he wasn't just sort of passing the ball off. He was coming back with a bit of venom in his kick returns. He still has his beautiful, beautiful hands. He had the unreal face ball for one of the Johnston tries. He followed it up with another 20-metre peel to send Johnston over for another one. And look, he should have had another with the short side play that he put Bentley Harpe over for, which is the one that Chance Nickel Klookstart saved. So he did absolutely everything in that first half to inspire his team to win, let alone the fact he scored his own try near the end. But yeah, his stats, 14 runs, 105 metres, 2 line breaks, 2 line break assists, 2 try assists, and 1 try, and didn't miss from the boot, 5 from 5 conversions. He did absolutely everything to keep his side in this game. I thought he was excellent, Latrell Mitchell. I still want more metres out of him for sure. But yeah, I thought he was very, very good. Alex Johnston. Now that we've got to him, let's talk about it. He scored 3 tries, a hat trick, to bring up 200 tries in the NRL. The second player in history to score 200 or more tries in the NRL. What an absolute legend of a game. It's a feat that I don't know if it'll ever be, replicated again. I think he will break the record. I think he will go down as the greatest try scorer the game has ever seen. And I don't know if we will ever see it be broken. He's just, with the fact that we're going to be soon enough going down to 20 games a season as opposed to like the 25 that we play nowadays, I don't know if we'll see it be done again. But to bring up a hat trick, like to do a hat trick to bring up his 300th there's no better way to do that. He can and will finish any try scoring chance. He's one of the best try scorers the game has ever and will ever seen. He never gets it wrong. So just a fantastic game from Alex Johnston. Congratulations to him to make history by scoring the 200th. He's 12 away now from equaling first place in Ken Irvine, 13 away from outright overtaking him. He will do that this year or next. He's just that sort of player. But beyond that, 15 tries. 15 wouldn't have shocked me if he scored 15 tries, to be fair, but 15 runs, 194 metres, 1 line break, 8 tackle breaks, 3 tries. They all came in different ways. He scored 2 off Latrell. One of them sort of was off a Warriors sort of mistake. No, it was off a bomb. In fairness, it was a bomb. There was a forward pass from Hubner to Latrell, and then you could argue the Latrell one to Johnston was forward, but it was just Johnston being in the right position, scored that one. He scored the other one with the little face ball for him for a try. And then the other try that he scored was a 90-metre bloody intercept try, which, again, after it was not syndesmosis, it was bloody the heel. What's the bloody... I can't even think of it. Achilles injury is one of the worst injuries you can do as a player that relies on agility and speed. But he took that intercept with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in chase from the other side of the field, and he ran the length to score a try there. But yeah, just a tremendous game from Alex Johnston, and congratulations to him. There's no nicer bloke in the game, no man more deserving of getting the 200th try. So can't wait to see him break the record. Beyond that, for the Raiders, I thought Keon Kaloa-Matangi again was just tremendous. He did have a couple of pretty crucial errors, which I won't ignore, but he played 80 minutes at front row forward, ran the ball 27 times for 216 metres, had a line break, scored a try, had 8 tackle breaks, and made 40 tackles. Like, you can excuse an error or two when he's doing that. 80 minutes of front row. We talked about Terrell May and Payne Haas being the standouts, and Fanua Blake, Joseph Tarpany just behind them. Mitch Barnett, James Fisher-Harris, and then Keon being moved to prop can do this. Like, we are in a just otherworldly era of front row forward, and I'm all for it as a front rower myself. I'm not these level of front rowers, I never will be, but I like seeing them be able to do this and get the praise they deserve. So just an epic effort of Keon Kaloa-Matangi. Beyond that, yeah, not too much more to talk about from the Rabbitohs. As I said, I take a lot away from it. They fought to the bitter end against a very good side in the Warriors, and they came very close. They put a lot of tries on, a good defensive outfit, and they just showed that they could do it in a variety of ways. So, yeah, I take a lot away from this if I'm the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Will they make the top 8? I think they will. Like, they won enough games earlier in the season when they were very short-staffed, very, down on troops, a lot of injuries. They get Cody Walker coming back heading into round 14. Latrell's obviously back now. Alex Johnston's back now. I think they can go on a really good run here, so I'm excited to see what they do. But yeah, just they take a lot away from this, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, a really good win from the Warriors as well. Panthers and Eels next. Now, we've gone way over time, which means, unfortunately, the last 2 games get ran through quickly. Look, it was a good game. These are 2 sides near the bottom end of the spectrum. In fact, I think the Panthers, before this win, were last place. One win. This win gets them from last place to 14th. So they jumped 3 teams to get up to 14th now. Meanwhile, the Eels, they dropped down to 16th, second last now. The Titans firmly in outright last now. But it goes to show how close a competition it is. But yeah, for 2 teams on the bottom end of this ladder, not necessarily fighting to avoid the wooden spoon yet, because there's a lot of this season yet to play out. It's just a really solid game. These 2 sides are desperate. I like the fact that they're back their Origin players up. Nathan Cleary and Mitch Moses, the Origin winning halves, going against each other straight after their Origin victory. I loved. And I thought they both played well, but I thought Nathan Cleary, he was the man to inspire his team to get the chocolates in this one. You look at the stats and it's nothing extraordinary, but it's just a fantastic play. It's a halfbacks game. You watch that game and he controlled it. He's 40-20, his kicking game, 18 runs, 125 metres, 1 line break, didn't miss from the boot, made 19 tackles for 0 missed and 0 ineffective, kicked for 596 metres. He controlled this game, Nathan Cleary. He was excellent in that regard, and he inspired his troops to another win. Now, we all know, if you're listening, the Panthers are nowhere near their best. But they don't need to be at their best yet. They just need to get these wins and keep convincing these young fellas and keep convincing themselves, we can fucking do this. And we know they can. The big thing I liked about it was their elite players, their Origin level players, they stood up. We've just mentioned Nathan Cleary and how instrumental he was. Brian To'o, 23 runs, 222 metres from him, 5 tackle breaks and a try. Dylan Edwards, 25 runs, 232 metres, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist. Isaiah Yeo, 10 runs, 98 metres, 36 tackles. Liam Martin, 47 tackles from him, 9 runs, 77 metres. Did miss 7 tackles, to be fair, Liam Martin. But these guys stood up and said, we are the Panthers. Losing is not acceptable for us. We're going to stand up and we will win this game. And it doesn't matter that it's against the Eels. We're not comparing the best team in the comp versus the team coming last. The Panthers were last before this game, guys. So it's 2 teams near the bottom fighting for wins, but neither of these teams are cellar dweller teams. The Eels were really poor to start the season, as were the Panthers. But we can see that these sides are have a lot more quality in them now, and they're playing much better footy than they were at the start. So it's a huge win for the Panthers. On the other end of the spectrum, the Eels, they'll be disappointed to let this one slip against their bitter rivals, but sometimes you can't do much more. Maybe they could have attacked a little bit better, but this is still an Eels side missing some of their strike weapons, like Sam Rani, for instance, playing at centre. I think he's been tremendous for them this year. I didn't think he had his best game in this one. I'll be honest, there were a few effort area plays, even towards the end. I'm pretty sure Mitch Moses sort of tried to put a chip kick through to try and break the game open. And it was to Sam Rani, and he didn't even jog towards it. He sort of just watched it, and it's this is the end of the game. It might not make a difference. It probably doesn't, but you want to be putting yourself in those positions, and he wasn't. Again, let me reiterate, Sam Rani's been fantastic for them this year. I just thought those are sort of the players that when you're a team that is down and out, you get those effort areas or lack of effort areas. When you're going a bit better, maybe you're running onto those balls a bit more. But yeah, beyond that, I thought they had a really good interplay of passing that led to the Sean Russell try. In fairness, some of the worst defending I've ever fucking seen from Isaac Tungo in that try. But nonetheless, really good play from the Eels in that one. Yeah, there's not much to necessarily take away. They got beaten by a desperate Panthers side. Yes, they're a Panthers side running last, but they're also, that I've just read out those names in that side. They will win games when they want to. And the Eels, they tried their very hard out. Isaiah Iyongi with 22 runs, 155 metres. Zach Lomax, 24 runs, 201 metres. And their forwards again, Jack Williams, their front rowers in particular, 72 minutes from Williams, 14 runs, 159 metres and 44 tackles. And Junior Paolo in his 51 minutes on the field, 16 runs, 122 metres as well. Like, they've got a lot to them. I don't know if they get the spoon. I really don't. To be honest, I think the Knights are the worst team in the comp, followed by the Titans, but at least I'm seeing a little bit as a sign of life in Titans. But yeah, it's a game that got away. They will come back from it. It's just one of those games I didn't know who to tip, to be honest. I tipped the Panthers. I got it right, but like it could have gone either way, and the scoreline reflects it. So hopefully Eels fans aren't too disappointed in that one. I still think that they'll show a bit heading into the rest of the season. This week they do take on the Bulldogs in the final game of the round. Very interesting game. Bulldogs, there's a lot of talk about them at the moment with, the Galvin stuff and Sexton, is he departing? And Reid Marnie, they want to let him go. And Connor Tracy, what's the go there? Like, for a team coming first, there's a lot of talk about them. It can be a big, big ambush for the Eels in that one. So it'll be an interesting game for them there. But that'll do us for the Panthers-Eels. Let's talk finally about this last game. It was a really good game, this last one. I wish I had more time to talk about it, but we're going to try and go through it as fast as we can. The Raiders just showing their class and getting the win in this one. The Roosters, they sort of shot themselves in the foot. They were the better side for the first half, and they competed all the way to the end, but they just made too many dumb errors. And what did we say about the Storm, and what have we said all year? The good teams, they make you pay for those errors. Let's look at the errors in total for this game. 63% completion rate from the Roosters. They had, where's the errors? It's not even showing me. 16 errors. You can't do that. Like, they didn't play like they had heart. Their players were like sort of individuals were playing good. When they were putting it together, they were bloody good, but they just shot themselves in the foot. You cannot give that much opportunity to the Raiders, and it means they let this game slip. The Raiders, yeah, you got to say that they were the better side because they completed high and they stuck with this game even when it didn't look like they could. But I think there's a lot to take away from the Roosters as well. Essentially, the fact that they were winning. They were winning. If they complete higher and they don't make those errors, they win this game of footy against, in my opinion, the second best team in the comp. I'd probably go Storm and Raiders as the top two at the moment. I know the Bulldogs are number one, but there's something about the Bulldogs and all their chat. I don't believe they can continue this. The Roosters had it. They were right in it. They were more than right in it. They were winning. So all they need to do is tidy that stuff up and they can compete. They already did compete, but they can beat the best sides in the competition. So it's one that they let slip. I don't think they have anyone to blame but themselves. I know there's a bit of talk about referees and whatnot, but goddamn, like, you shot yourselves in the foot. But as I said, it's an easy fix, and I thought they were really, really good. For the Raiders, it's not worry stations at all. Don't get me wrong. They got the win. You can't say it's worry stations. It's one that's like, it's probably a tiny bit of a wake-up call where it's like, shit, this Rooster side, they went at us and they beat us sort of at our own game. Like Joseph Tarpany, for instance, I didn't think was tremendous in this one. I was a bit interested in their rotations as well. Like, Tarpany only played 43 minutes out there, and he's not someone who's affected by Origin. In saying that, again, we sort of echoed it last week. Well, we said it the other week, but I'll echo it again. The Raiders bench, they're fucking good. Like, I've given them a rap before. I'll do it again. It's crazy that when you take off Tarpany and Horsburgh, that there is absolutely no drop-off. Like Mariota, Papali, Paddy ended up coming off the bench, and we'll talk about him in a second, and Simi Sasangi especially. They turned the game when they came on the field. And again, it coincided with Roosters errors, but they helped force them, and they were fucking great. They were enormous. Like Mariota, 13 runs, 134 metres in his 36 minutes. Josh Papali, 13 runs, 112 metres. Simi Sasangi scores a try, almost had a second that was called back in his time on the field. And of course, we'll talk about Owen Paddy now while we're here. He was like the best hooker of the round, in my opinion, but he came off the bench, so I didn't put him in my team of the week. In retrospect, I probably should have made him my interchange player of the week. He was so good. I don't think the Raiders win the game without his 40-20 in this one. He will get so many more of them. He's one of the best 40-20 kickers I've genuinely already seen at his age already. He's so natural at it. He's got a perfect boot. It was a crucial period of the game. And yeah, to swing the momentum back for his team, it just shows experience well above his years and his games played. So he was unbelievable, Owen Paddy. Got a huge future in the game. We talked about him in the preseason. He's becoming a household name, and as he should. He's just a phenomenal player. But yeah, it was a good win for the Raiders. Another win that solidifies them at the top. And the fact that they lost this game, I think the same lessons are gained from this game, whether they win or lose. If they lose, they're learning the exact same as if they win. So it's good to win this one regardless. Ricky will still have his say and say, here's our areas to improve. We were ambushed and this, that. I can do this better as a coach. You guys can do this better as my players. But they got the 2 points from it. And that's what the good teams do. They grind out wins when they're not at their best. And as I said, the Roosters, they ambushed them. It was in their lap. They had this game and they threw it away, but they only threw it away because the Raiders made them pay for those errors. So that's what the good teams do, and the Raiders are a bloody good team. In terms of other standouts for them, Corey Horsburgh only played bloody 40 minutes in this one, but he is such a good footy player. He's as tough and hardworking as he looks, but he's so damn skillful. His footwork and offload is one of the best in the game for a man of his size. And he even showed he's got a bloody deft kick in him as well with the little grubber kick to, I think it forced a line dropout. He did also put a second one in, which was cleaned up by Tedesco late in the game, but I think he still keeps his kicking license, Horsburgh. I thought he was really good. Tarpany obviously scored the try, and he was solid, 15 runs, 132 metres, but nothing exceptional. We've mentioned all of their bench who were extraordinary. KO Weeks came up with another big play in this one. I thought he was very quiet, and then he comes out with that huge just break to break the game open, and then he linked with Ethan Strange, which was the deciding blow in this one. It was not the last try of the game because the Roosters scored one more after that, but the try that broke the camel's back, if you will, and yeah, made that break and then linked with Ethan Strange, who deserved the try. I thought Ethan Strange was really, really good the entire game. 10 runs, 115 metres, 4 tackle breaks, and defensively he's so good. He can genuinely shot anyone. His technique is so good. He's so physical, very hard to stop. I thought he was brilliant. Ethan Strange, 16 runs, 16 tackles, 0 missed as well. And Savelio Tamale, he was the other big name for me I wanted to mention. 25 runs from Tamale, 169 metres, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 7 tackle breaks. It's so cool that the Raiders now have these game breakers in Savage and Tamale on their wings. They have a game breaker in Weeks. So, yeah, he's still improving. He's still got maybe a while to go before he's an elite fullback, but he's fitting into their game plan very nicely, and he has moments like in this game where he can break it open and win you a game. It's not what they're known for. They're known for their grit. They're known for their grind with their forward pack, and they still have one of, if not the best forward pack in the entire comp. But it's just really exciting that they have all these strike weapons as well that can do a job. Ethan Sanders as well, I thought was really, really good on his club debut, and I think he will fill the shoes of Jamal Fogarty very nicely. Roosters, let's go back to them. We already mentioned sort of how they were as a club, but I didn't mention any of their standout players. So we'll just quickly do that. James Tedesco, I mean, you can copy and paste his name every week. He stands up all the time. 22 runs, 232 metres, 2 line breaks, 12 tackle breaks, and a try. Like, what can you say about him? He's so bloody good. Daniel Tupou had a very, very indifferent game. Had a few bloody errors, which you just never, ever see from Daniel Tupou. Like, kick errors and just drop ball errors. Just, it's not what he's there for. He's the most reliable winger in the game almost, and he just had some really weird errors. He also had one where he ended up scoring the try, but they made a break. I think it was Tedesco, and he linked up with, it might not have been Tedesco. Anyway, they linked up with Tupou. He's got about 40 metres to run to score a try. He's run down by Savage, who tackles him but falls off the tackle. But Tupou lays there on the ground like 20 centimetres away from the try line thinking he's tackled and waits, and the ref's like, play on, and then he goes to go again, stops, and then Weeks, I think, falls over the top of him, and then the ref still says, play on, and he finally scores the try. So he just had a weird game. Still ran 18 times for 184 metres, big Daniel Tupou, but yeah, well, it was just a very interesting game from the bloke. I thought Billy Smith and Robert Toya were really good. Mark Nawonga Nitawase again. I mean, let's just speak about him. He is such a special talent. Like, just when I thought I'd run out of things to say about him, I thought he had run out of special things that he could do. He finds a way to do something even more outrageous just to keep me coming back, to keep me talking about him, to keep his name, coming out of my mouth. He's the sort of player that you watch rugby league for. Like, it's a bit funny because I bet rugby union could do with a player like him. But look, he's still got a lot to learn defensively from a general game sense as well, like reads and just stuff like he takes too many risks when he probably doesn't need to do them. And in fairness, those risks are what make him exciting to watch. But then there's ones where he just he gets a run and he's like, I'm going to take him to the outside for no reason, but just because he backs his ability, and then he gets taken over the sideline. It's just like really silly part of the game to be doing that. They're crucial things that he will learn as he goes on. But, at the moment, they're keeping him from being an elite outside back in our game. But once he develops those things and he learns them, he's going to be unbelievable because he still is like, the shit he does on a footy field is so fucking good. And he still ran 16 times, 177 metres and scored the try. But yeah, just a few more errors that he needs to round out in his game. Sandon Smith, thought he was solid. Beyond that, though, not really too much to sort of talk about for the Roosters. I liked Siwa Wong. Like, he made bloody 60 tackles in this one. But their forward pack was just swamped by the Raiders, which, as it should be, the Raiders forward pack is amazing. But even players like Angus Crichton and Wong, 72 metres, 66 metres, like no Roosters forward ran for over 100 metres. The top was Blake Steep off the bench with 93. Oh, excuse me. So, yeah, look, it was almost an ambush. There's a lot to take away from the game. But in the end, I think the better team still won in the Raiders. That is all we have time for. It's more than all we have time for. We've gone well over time, but thank you guys for tuning into this one. Let's quickly go through our tips for round 14 just to make this go for even longer. The Knights and Seagulls kick things off tomorrow on Thursday. I'm taking the Seagulls. You guys know how I feel about the Knights. Storm and Cowboys next at Amy Park. I'm taking the Storm. I still think the Storm are the best team in the comp, and the fact that it's in Amy Park means I'm going to take them, but should be an exciting game. We know these two teams can attack from anywhere on the field. Dolphins and Dragons is the game I might be looking forward to the most, maybe the game after it, but you know how I feel about these two sides. Very similar in where they are on the ladder, 10th and 8th. Very similar in how I think they're like one or two things in like every game away from being a really good footy side. I'll take the Dolphins because it's in Brisbane, but really exciting game. Dragons at $2.52 is really good value there. So we'll see what we do in the betting department. But just on a general tipping sense, I think I'll take the Dolphins at the moment. Sharkies and Warriors next. Sharks, $1.49 favourites over the Warriors, $2.63. Fifth versus third. It's a bit of an interesting one. I think there's obviously heaps of value in the Warriors considering the Sharks are coming off a huge loss to the Roosters and then a bye. While the Warriors just keep going from strength to strength. I know they came off a loss against the Raiders, but again, the Raiders are a top side. I'll take the Warriors. Like, I just think, especially at their price, $2.63, like, they're higher on the ladder. They're playing better footy. Yeah, I like the Warriors in that one, but should be a good game. The Sharkies, they need a bounce back in a big way, to be honest. Broncos and Titans next. Fucking hell, I don't know. I'll take the Broncos because I think even though they've been very inconsistent, they've shown more in the times that they are good than the Titans. But this has upset written all over it. $3.41 the Titans are paying. I might throw some money on that. I like that. So, yeah, I'll take Broncos in a general tipping sense, but yeah, I smell an upset here. I might have to switch to the Titans, to be honest. I like that. $3.41. Anyway, we'll see. It should be an exciting game, you'd hope. Both teams can attack. Raiders and Rabbitohs, that should be another good game. Raiders, of course, the favourites, and it's in Canberra, so I will be taking them 2nd versus 9th. As I said, the Raiders, they're probably who I think the second best team in the comp are at the moment, so can't really tip against them, especially in Canberra in the Fortress. So Canberra will get my pick there. Tigers and Panthers, very, very interesting game. Look at this, $3.18 for the Tigers to beat the Panthers. It's 13th versus 14th. The Tigers have been playing better footy all year, in my opinion. It's so hard to tip against the Panthers, even though they've been poor this year. I'm going to take the Tigers, though, because I like their value at $3.18. That's just crazy value, in my opinion. And then Bulldogs, Eels. This is where I'm going to take my upset, like one of the bigger upsets of the week. As I said, when we sort of discussed it in the review, I smell an upset here with all the talk about the Bulldogs, and I'm sure that they'll, fix it up. They've just got a really good system there that it shouldn't be too much of an issue for the Bulldogs, but I just smell an upset waiting to happen here with all the talk. Will it take its toll on the Bulldogs? I like the Eels in this one. But that one will wrap us up for the round 14 review. Thank you all so much for tuning in if you've made it this far, especially this late in the week where you're not worried about round 13, you want to talk about round 14. So if you've listened to this one, very much appreciate it, and I thank you all for tuning in. Of course, we'll have the post up on the Instagram, so if you're not already following, go and do so at Chip and Chase Podcast. And then, we'll be back next week. We will be back, but the week following that, we will not be doing any content that week. I will be heading back to my hometown, back to my parents for a few days. I'll let you in on it. We're putting the family dog down, my dog. So spending a couple nights there before we put him down. He's just getting a bit old. So a couple nights with him and the family there. Then we'll put him down. I'll stay an extra night. And then I'll come back here. So won't have any content for probably at all that week. Like maybe going into the week after that, I'll be taking my notes following the games after that because I'll be coming home on the Tuesday. So that Tuesday's week of games, I'll be watching those games. We'll be back for the week after that. But that's 2 weeks away. We would not have a podcast. But once again, I'd like to thank you all for tuning into this one. And I'll see you guys next time.